Hello and welcome to the Move Your Business Forward podcast. These talks are hosted by Rob Bowl, founder of Evoke Management and CEO of International Leaders UK. We'll be talking with experts from both these companies about issues that affect SME companies today.
Okay, welcome to this episode of the Move Your Business Forward podcast. Today, I'm lucky to be joined by two of my Evoke colleagues, John Henderson, one of my managing partners based in the northwest in Manchester, and David Seaton, also one of my management partners based in the south. So just for context, we've just had a new president elected in the US yesterday, Trump. And this is a week after we've had budget announcement in the UK with the new Labour government's first budget. So there's quite a lot of things going on and things that have happened. And unfortunately for the business world, particularly thinking about the UK budget, it doesn't sound like a particularly positive budget for supporting business or being, in keeping what many businesses would like for a number of reasons. And the main things being increased pressure on cost from NI for employers and also some of the other restrictions that are also coming in with employment regulation. And then also we've got the capital gains increase as well and a bunch of other things that are still coming out as we speak. Now, I don't want to, in this conversation, get too caught up in what's wrong about all of that. We're dealt that hand. And I think as businesses, we're designed as entrepreneurs, as leaders of business to overcome challenges and find ways to go through. Everything that we're doing as a team is supporting those SME business owners, leaders and entrepreneurs. And what I'm keen to do is John and David have a chat about how can we support, what advice can we give to people in that situation. John, you've run big companies. You're now starting to do more work with some smaller companies using those years and years of experience. What if you're sat here as a business leader now? What's your immediate thoughts as to how do I get myself back motivated and have a positive view on the world? What's your thoughts?
I suppose my immediate thought is one of disappointment. But that said, I think it's always important in these circumstances not to panic. As you quite rightly said, Rob, we're dealt the hand we're dealt. But even within that, for those that want to move forward, there's always opportunities, especially out of what may be pictured as adversity. So I think it's about making sure A, you don't panic, B, you stay strong, you stay focused on what your goal is and what you're trying to achieve, and you look at ways within your business to be as efficient as you possibly can be, so that moving forward, you're in a position to take advantage of any opportunities that may arise. So yeah, first and foremost, don't panic, because don't forget the people in your business will be looking at you, and they need to see that you're standing firm and you're confident. Otherwise, that negativity permeates throughout your business, and that's the last thing you need at this minute in time. So yeah, don't panic, stay strong.
It's funny, actually, listening to you say that about the not panic. I always say to business owners often that running a business doesn't get easier. You just get better at dealing with the shit that you have to deal with when you're running a business. And I think given the latest budget announcement compared to what everyone's gone through from COVID, lockdown, all kinds of other cost of living crises, it's just another thing that we're probably all better at handling, but it just doesn't seem to be a positive help to the next phase of business. But yeah, the not panic. I think everyone running a business is probably getting better and better at not being in that panic mode. And okay, it's another thing we've got to deal with. How do we progress with that? David, in your position of running a business or having run businesses and advising companies, what's your take on the hand we've
so completely echoing than what John's just said around the not panicking, and we've seen all problems before. Then I can't get away from the fact that the biggest paradox of all from the last budget is that it talks about growth, but it taxes the farmers who literally grow things into extinction. And to me, then we need to overcome some of the nonsensical comments that there are around the budget and within the budget, and go back to basics about concentrating on how we run things. And there are two very clear views as to how you grow an economy. Then one is through private sector and entrepreneurship. Then The other is through fair wages, secured jobs, and accessible services. And neither of those two things are exclusive. Then the two things join together, and we need to find a way to make sure that they work in synergy.
Do you see ways forward, given, we're in this position? What were you thinking if you're, some of the businesses you're talking to at the moment, what's your advice to them?
So it comes straight back to the fact that the world is still turning. Then some words have been written on a piece of paper. Then some newspapers have shouted some headlines. Your business is still there. Your business is still resilient. Then you've dealt with problems before. Though the increase, particularly to the wage bill, is not insignificant, then there are ways of dealing with that sanely, rather than panicking and just going, that's it, then we need to cut 1.6% of the workforce or whatever it might be.
Yeah, no, understood. And I guess one thing, there's a positive. We've still got uncertainty, without doubt. There's still uncertainty, but a whole chunk of uncertainty has just been taken off the table. Even if it's not positive, it's uncertainty that we now know. We're certain about certain things. We can now make some plans and deal with it. Interesting what you just said. I was talking to a business owner just yesterday, and the view is, with the desire to pay people more, but also having to absorb this additional hit. We have got some people that are looking to leave the business, and actually we can just focus on, okay, how do we carry on without that headcount and still meet the requirements of paying people with a small uplift, but also absorbing this other cost. And I think, that's the practical way to say that we either replace this person or we look for how can we be more efficient and still maintain being able to pay everyone a little bit more because we've saved some money there. And I think there's simple things like that, which in an SME, you've got much more control and ability to be adaptive like that and communicate. The reason you're not going to replace that person is because, look, the reality is this: we get another person, we've still got a problem. We've got a hole to fill in terms of our budget. If we don't replace that person or a couple of people, we've got money we can play with as long as we can cope with that shortfall. So just talking about kind of tips, really. What can people do about this? And John, coming to you, you've obviously run businesses and you've gone through a whole range of challenges over time. If you were going to talk to a business owner right now about your top 3 tips of what they should do or could do or could look at, what would those top 3 be for you?
Well, I think the first thing to do is take a step back and have a look at your business and evaluate exactly, where you are. Excuse me. And then moving on from that is what are the opportunities out there to grow my business or make my business more efficient, so that at the end of the day, I'm able to, as much as I can do, absorb any cost pressures that are coming my way. And it could be, a range of things. How close are you to your customers? How regularly are you in communication to make sure that, as you bring new customers into your business, it's not a revolving door scenario, so you're losing some as well. So for me, it's about being highly disciplined, being close to your customers, and actually making sure that your people are motivated, because generally they're your biggest asset. And there are many other things. You could get into the minutiae of detail here, but I think what is important as well is having a firm handle on just how you make sure that you're bringing cash into your business on a regular basis, so that you're understanding what you've got tied up in your business that, that's either sitting on a shelf or you're waiting to be paid, and making sure that is a real focus area, because if you've got a good cash flow within your organisation, it allows you a bit of leeway and a bit of leverage to take some steps or make some plans that you otherwise might not have been able to do, and actually take a longer term view rather than just a short term view. Mm-hmm. I think that's really important, because generally if you're forced into making decisions in the short term, they don't always work for you, and it's better to have that. You've got to have a short term focus, but equally you've got to have an eye on the future as well, to make sure that what you're doing today is going to be fit for the medium and the longer term.
No, agreed. And I think that plays on a few levels. I mean, the certainty that we now have is the certain taxes are going to be as they are. So, if you had in mind Whether it's selling a business and thinking about capital taxes, you've got some certainty what they are now. So it's longer term planning, or whether actually you still want to go ahead with that. But also, does that change your view on different options as well? So, for example, one of the exit options that still hasn't gone away from a tax advantage position is employee ownership. There seems to still be support for transition of ownership to employees through a particular structure, the employee ownership trust, still a 0% capital gains tax on that. And then shorter term, as you say, we now know, okay, there is a bit of more cost in terms of people cost, but you can plan for that now and build it into your budget and make sure you've got enough coverage to pay for that. The customer thing's interesting, John. I guess the same applies to suppliers as well. One of the beauties of the situation is every business is in the same position, right? So it actually gives an opportunity to pick up the phone and engage about, right, how are you feeling about things, and talk, okay, how can we help each other? Form a deeper partnership with your customers and potentially with your supply chain, because ultimately the cost that we're all looking at taking on are going to have to be captured somewhere in that customers paying more or getting more value out of your suppliers. So to me, it's a perfect opportunity to engage and be that supportive partner in that relationship with your customers or with your supply chain as well, which is where you can squeeze out more value and gain more traction, I would say. Would you agree, John?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think let's not forget, it's not a long time, but some of the biggest cost changes aren't coming in until the next tax year. So there is a bit of time for those conversations to happen, for that planning to be made, so that come April the 6th next year, you're in a better position to say, I feel comfortable with the action that I've taken, the conversations I've had, the plans that I've made, to move forward with confidence, I guess.
Yeah, no, great. Thanks, John. David, what your top tips? Talking to any business right now, have you got 2 or 3 top tips you would suggest having a look at?
Sure. So to me, fortune favours the brave. Then every situation creates opportunities. And so whereas other businesses may be reducing their investment plans, that leaves areas that other people can jump into and make the most of them. So analyze what your competitors are doing, what's happening in the marketplace, and see where the opportunities are going to create. So that'd be number one. Number two, then there are a number of people, particularly within the agriculture industry, who are really thinking, I give up. That hands up. I live out in the countryside. I live on a small farm. It's soul destroying. Then that part of the budget. Look on the other side. Then we're also looking to move house at the moment. Perfect acquisition to buy more farmland elsewhere because people are trying to offload it at the moment. More for our money. There are always opportunities that come out of this sort of thing. And thirdly, then look at the most effective way of using your cash. And without getting too salesy about what we do here at Evoke, then the gig economy is an ideal way of managing your costs. If you're using a part-time director, you're not paying additional national insurance, you're not committing to long-term contracts with people, you're able to flex. And if our chancellor decides that more is needed for the coffers, then it allows greater flexibility to be able to adapt once again in 6 months or 12 months' time.
Yeah, no, agreed. I think that's a great point in terms of looking at that flex. And I guess the gig economy is an interesting thing. It's come up recently in the past 6 months. In a number of conversations I've had with businesses is talking about, okay, who on your team could potentially add more value in thought process, whether it's marketing, sales, innovation. And it's interesting how many people talk about, we've got certain people on the team that have a side hustle, have something they're doing outside of work. And it's like, why are you not encouraging them to bring something like that to the business, right? If they can contribute with, whether you describe it as innovation or something else that they're passionate about, how could that support the current business they're working in and contribute to the overall pot? And I think to me, that's all about leveraging what you've got on the team and being open to ideas and in engagement, and hopefully getting some of that value in your business rather than being something that someone's doing outside of your business, but at the same time, or in the evenings, weekends, etc. And I think there's so many people in business, working in companies that are doing either a side hustle or want to do a side hustle. And to me, that's just part of the innovation process of, okay, how do we change the dial, or how do we be more agile in our business to be more profitable, or capture more clients or engage with clients in a different way. And then, I mean, talking about particularly for farmers, and I think this applies for anyone that's got assets, it's just getting the right advice as well. Advice comes with a fee, and whether that's tax advice or whether it's wealth manager, whatever professional advice you're getting, and even us in that bucket of advice to companies, you should be getting a return from that advice. And even if it's something you've not paid for before, or you feel it's more, you're being asked to pay more for advice than you have done in the past, you've got to look at how you get a return from that. And everything that we do, I believe, it should be viewed as you're going to get a return on that. And that's definitely something we help with. But if you're afraid to pick up the phone and get professional advice, you're potentially going to miss a trick and miss an opportunity. And even though these tax changes are going to be coming in related to capital allowances, if you don't know what options are there, if you don't talk to advisors, all these advisors are paid good money to do the research, to come up with solutions that are going to help people navigate what might be a big impact on them. If you're not talking to those advisors and not using them as a sounding board, you're going to be missing a trick, or you're potentially going to be making decisions that are not the best for you, for your future wealth, for your business, for your family, etc. And that's a really important fact, I think, is just make sure you're getting that advice on a regular basis from the right people. I mean, just looking at wrapping up what we're talking about here, what I like to do is just bring together, if you're going to do anything, what would be that one thing that you do? John, I don't know if you've got a thought as to, if anyone's listening to this, what would be the one thing you would encourage them to go off and do?
I think under the guise or under the banner of what I said about not panicking, it's rather than becoming insular and looking inward and, what does this mean for me inwardly? I'd be looking outwardly and saying, what are the opportunities for me as a result of this? Because change is constant.
Yep.
Change is inevitable. And it's actually, how do I embrace that change and make a difference to me? So don't become insular, don't look inward, look outward and look for the opportunities.
Excellent. No, that's great. And David, for you, what would be the one thing that you would suggest?
I would say that austerity has turned into a dirty word, but austerity could also be defined as eliminating wasteful spending. If you eliminate your wasteful spend, that creates the money that you need to invest back into your business. Look at your cash flow, look at your plans, make sure that they're resolute, save money where you can, and reinvest it into your business. Don't panic, things keep going.
No, great. I think the same message there. I've just taken a note because I think it fits. Don't panic, step back and think, okay, realistically, reality check, where can we make some significant change? And use our ability as particularly as an SME to be agile, nimble, and take on those opportunities. And I think interesting wasteful spend. I think as time's evolved, I think there's been a series of people going, right, we've exhausted all costs out of our business because of COVID. We've exhausted all costs out of the business because of cost of living and inflationary pressures. This is potentially another time to have a look. And I'm sure there's creep in spend. Creep in where people are spending time. There's use of time to take on technology that's value adding and useful. There's also going down a rabbit hole with technology that's just complicating things, or that technology is not there yet for automation. Therefore, park it. Recheck. Some of these things are changing so quickly. I think you can quite quickly see where either money's being wasted or time's being wasted in terms of that investment. And as you say, finding that wasted time, wasted spend, and reinvesting is clearly going to add value to where you go next. John, David, thank you for joining on this. I appreciate that, and hopefully some useful thoughts for people. And as I always say, if anyone's listening to this and thinking I'm on my own trying to make these discussions, then we're here to have a chat with, have a conversation with. and hopefully, that's what we're here for. And there's no harm in having a conversation and seeing if there's some ideas to share. So David, John, thanks very much for joining me.
You're welcome.
Thanks for listening. If you'd like more information about the topics discussed in this podcast, then you can find us on our website at moveyourbusinessforward.com.